Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Yeah, so I like to speak something about peace, peace, peace. Love and peace, no, just peace, not love. Peace from the background, which you can all see. So, in fact, my head, you can see it looks like a very peaceful setting in nature. Of course, the sound of the road, which doesn't get picked up, I'm told, on this state-of-the-art recording equipment, is a disturbance, and the lady next door decided to do her washing by the traditional Indian system of smashing cloth against the stone, so that's also a disturbance. But anyway, let's talk about peace. I have to get in the mood first of all. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. My dear, beloved friends, today I would like to tell you a story about peace. Once upon a time, there was a king who, by the grace of God, had everything that anyone could hope for. He had a large, prosperous kingdom with all very well-behaved citizens who loved him. There was no crime in his kingdom. He performed pious activities, but somehow in his heart, he could not feel any peace. So he thought what to do. And then he organized a painting competition, that he wanted that he could have a picture that would remind him. By looking at that picture, he could feel peace in his heart. So a painting competition was organized, and so many people brought beautiful paintings. Eventually, after going through them all, there were the two finalists, and he had to decide which one would be the winner. So in one painting, there was a beautiful pastoral scene with a lake and nice blue sky with a few fluffy white clouds and trees hanging over, looked completely beautiful and completely peaceful. In the other painting, which was selected by his ministers, there was a scene of jagged mountains with thunderclouds and lightning in the sky, and there was a waterfall pounding down, and on each side of the picture there were two armies getting ready to face each other. Doesn't look very peaceful, does it? How is it a picture of peace? Well, behind the waterfall, behind the flow of the waterfall, I don't know how this was portrayed, such detail, but anyway, it's just a story, so you have to try and imagine this. Sorry, I have to get back in bogus guru mode. Behind the waterfall, was a nest of a bird. And the little birds were in that situation, protected by the waterfall. So, even though they were present amid a scene which was not at all peaceful. They felt completely protected and at peace. There's a story like this was told on some presentation which was put on the internet. I was directed to it, to look at it. Some godbrother of mine sent the link of some Swami telling the story. I don't know what Swami it was. Somehow or other his face was distorted in the cinematography. And it was very well presented. He's a much better storyteller than me. He probably has a lot of practice in this kind of thing. The Swami or whoever it was who told the story. And there was tinkling piano music accompanying, just to enhance the feeling of peace and profundity. So it's a very nice story, isn't it? Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. He told the moral of the story. Oh, by the way, the one with the birds behind the waterfall won the prize, got the first prize. And the moral of the story is that real peace is from within, in your heart. It's within your heart. And real peace is when you can be in a situation which is full of tension and strife, and be in the real world and in your heart feel peace. So it's a very nice story. Very nice, very nice, very instructive. And it showed the picture of people in a typical office scene in the corporate world, and the idea is that even if you're in such a situation which there's always tension in the office world, pressure to get things done, but you should feel peace in your heart. So it's a very nice story, and I hope you enjoyed it, and you can apply it in your life, and you can feel peace. But anyway, there's only one problem: it's a bunch of nonsense, because there's no peace in the material world. It's a place of non-peace. The birds in the nest, they're also not peaceful. Have you seen birds? Probably, at least you saw it on the TV or the internet. So they don't look very peaceful, do they? When the mother bird comes with the worm, the birds are all squawking. Then there's maybe 5 birds in the nest, and they all want the worm. They don't want the others to get the worm. So they're very unpeaceful with their strong desire to get the worm. And the very fact that the parents are bringing the worm, there's no peace for the worm who got caught. The worm might have felt very peaceful living in the ground, but then all of a sudden a beak entered their peaceful reality and literally jerked them out of it and made them food for some not peaceful chick. So that's the material world. Jivo jivasya jivanam. Every living being lives on another. The bird that might feel protected inside in the nest behind the waterfall is making someone else feel non-peaceful, and the bird that goes out to collect the prey is also prey. The predator is the prey. One living being eats another, and that living being also gets eaten by another, and that living being gets eaten by another, and they call it, what do they call it? The food chain. And who's at the top of the food chain? There is no real top, because every living being is food for another. If you say humans are somewhere near the top, well, we're also, though if we identify with the human body, we're also prey for the germs and viruses that feed on our bodies. There's no peace in the material world. That's the real lesson. Sama samudvigna dhyam asadgrahat. This is stated by Sri Prahlad Maharaj, that in this material world, sada, always, samudvigna, full of anxiety. Dhyo, our consciousness is always. Why? Because asadgrahat, we've accepted this world in which everything is temporary and unreal to be real. Even if the bird does feel, the bird in the nest feels some kind of security, that's also illusory, because anything can happen at any time. I was just saying while concluding that talk on the 24 gurus that we should learn from everything that happens around us, always be learning. So we had a good experience with that yesterday morning as we were going for Mangalarti. We obviously we have to drive a little distance to that place. So Hrishikesh Prabhu opened the driver's door, got in the seat, very normal, ordinary kind of thing to do. And all of a sudden he saw there's some spider or something jumped on his hand and bit him, and without thinking much, he didn't sit down and think for 20 minutes, what should I do? Spontaneously, you could say, or instinctively, he jumped out of the car to get the spider or whatever it was off his hand. And in the meantime, the car started rolling back down the slope, and he was trying to get a control of it. But the car door, which was open, hit the next car, hit the mirror of the car, and damaged it. And that's what happened. So it was completely unexpected. You couldn't have imagined that he would get in the car and the spider would bite him, and then the car would roll down the hill. It's a slight incline, and just hit the window, and it's going to cost us 6,000 rupees to repair it, because we're honest enough to have contacted the owner of the car, put a note saying this is our number. But just that point struck me, that you don't know what's going to happen. You couldn't have imagined that such a thing would happen, but it did happen. It's not a big thing. It's not a major thing, but even major things can happen completely without any warning whatsoever. Someone suddenly has a stroke or a heart attack, or the worm is in the ground looking for its food when it becomes food. The bird doesn't say, excuse me, Mr. Worm, just like to tell you that I'm going to stick my beak in the ground and pull you out. No such thing. Much of this praying, and when we say praying, because we're supposed to be devotees, we usually think of praying to God, but I'm talking about praying spelled P-R-E-Y-I-N-G, which means to make some being a victim of yourself, preying upon others. So the part of praying is that it works on the principle of surprise. They don't know. So, and I don't know who made this movie or who spoke this nice story, because like I say, for some reason the cinematography was distorted, so the face isn't very clear. Obviously it wasn't an ISKCON devotee, because we're, as followers of Srila Prabhupada, we're very fortunate that he gave us the knowledge by which we can distinguish illusion from reality. Reality from illusion. That's right there in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, isn't it? The second verse. So it may appear to people, peace, peace is you feel something in your heart, even amidst the difficulty. But that's not real peace, because even if you do feel some peace, we still have to suffer birth, death, old age and disease. And within our heart there's always anxiety. Sada samadvigna dhyam asadgrahat. Srila Prabhupada very kindly gave us the peace formula. When Srila Prabhupada was first in America, especially when he first went to New York City and established the Krishna conscious movement there, he was mostly ministering to young people, and peace was a big topic among the young people especially, because America had decided that they needed to benefit the people of Vietnam by bombing them and killing them and pouring Agent Orange on them and other activities guaranteed to bring peace. So the young people especially weren't very pleased with that, because the young men were getting sent off to Vietnam. It's one of those countries you'd never hear about if America had never attacked it, like Iraq. So the young men weren't very happy, and the young women weren't very happy either, because they wanted the young men to F-U-C-K them, to make love with them. Make love, not war. So peace was a big topic. But Srila Prabhupada pointed out that you can't get peace by making demonstrations, as they were doing, but peace comes how? How? Tell. What is it? What's the peace formula from Bhagavad Gita? Bhoktaram yagyatapasam sarva loka maheshwaram suhridam sarva bhutanam gyatva mang shantim richati. Who can get peace? The person who knows that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. Krishna is the supreme controller and proprietor. And Krishna is the best friend of every living being. There's no other way to get actual peace. This is peace on the genuinely spiritual platform. And this talk of peace, avoiding absolutely no mention of Krishna in this talk. So it definitely wasn't a devotee of Krishna who spoke this. But it appeals to shallow New Age types. New Age, what is New Age? Difficult to define. It's, what shall we say? It's an Americanized version of the worst in Hinduism. of the shallowness of the gurus in Hinduism who smile and have long beards and talk about peace, but they have nothing to actually to offer. Shallow. It's for shallow people who want to feel spiritual. It's very trendy among people who like to think that they're a cut above the others, to feel spiritual and to tell stories like this. which have no practical application. This story also, it just tells us, but there's nothing given about how we actually achieve such peace. How could such a New Age type tell you how to achieve such peace? Maybe they'll tell you to do some yoga and meditation. But it appeals to these kind of superficial people who think that just by feeling in their heart peaceful, that they can get the same result that serious yogis spend many years doing meditation and austerities. What's that word, austerity? Is that still in the English dictionary? Not in the New Ages dictionary. They don't do any austerity. They have this idea that they can feel spiritual while they go on with their sense gratification. Maybe sophisticated sense gratification. Most of them are probably vegetarians. Or if they eat meat, it'll be organic meat. Not. If they eat eggs, it'll be free-range eggs. So they're sophisticated people who like to feel spiritual, and they think that just by imagining it, they can get the same spiritual achievements that yogis endeavor for over many, many long years. But actually, even though they may imagine some peace and talk of peace and even talk in a way that sounds very profound, it's all cheating. Because in this world, what we get for sure is birth, death, old age and disease. That is for sure. That we don't get it free from simply by imagining. We actually have to understand why we're not peaceful. We're not peaceful because we're in a situation in which we are not acting according to the real situation of our heart. The real situation of our heart is that we are meant for service to Krishna. So maybe this feeling of peace and love and happiness, that might somewhat equate with the feeling of happiness in sattva guna. Sattvang sanjayate sukham. What is it? Sattvam sukhe sanjayate. The mode of goodness gives rise to happiness, but that's also an illusory kind of happiness. It's not the happiness of rajoguna, which the happiness of rajoguna is vishayendriya samyogam. The happiness of the interaction of the senses with the sense objects. Vishayendriya samyogam yatthadagre mritopamam pariname vishamiva yatsukham rajasam smritam. Happiness in the mode of passion is that which seems like nectar in the beginning, but transforms into poison. It is that of the interaction of the senses with the sense objects. So these new agey, totally superficial kind of people, they think they'll get the happiness of sattva-gun when they feel like it, and they'll get the happiness of rajogun when they feel like it. It's really a self-cheating process, and there are plenty of swamis and yogis, like whoever this bogus person was who spoke this story of the two paintings. They cater to these kind of people, and probably they charge them plenty of money also to come to their seminars, and people love it. They love to be cheated. If you tell them, come here, chant Hare Krishna, they won't be so inclined, because they know that afterwards will tell them, and yes, you have to give up sense gratification, and they don't like to hear things like that. But if you tell me, come, Swami bogus so-and-so is giving a seminar, $2,000, oh yeah, people love it. They love to be cheated. So that feeling of happiness in sattva guna, that's also an enemy of actual spiritual advancement, because you feel just this feeling of being peaceful and detached and calm and everything good and nice, and smile and be gentle and nice, but the feeling of happiness that comes from that blocks our actual spiritual advancement, which comes from the hard work of surrendering to Krishna. Hard work, yeah, well, it's blissful life, but endeavor is required also. So don't be waylaid by these nice stories that you can live a fully materialistic life and feel peace in your heart. Well, even if you do, that peace will bind you to birth, death, old age and disease. Real peace comes from surrender to Krishna. Hare Krishna. Well, I did try to be a nice Swami. I could probably do it also, right? I don't know. I never was very good looking, and I'm getting old now. I could grow my beard a bit more. When this treatment's over, I'll shave it off. I grow a beard. Smile. I have to clean my teeth up a bit. And be nice. And rake in the bucks. And make people feel good. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, who saved us from all this cheating, nonsense, rascaldom. Hare Krishna.